GOAT, the greatest of all time. Maybe the most popular slogan in all of sports. To assign a player to be the GOAT is not to be taken lightly, but there's always something attached to this when talking about this phrase, a debate. It seems almost every sport has their own GOAT debate, with each side having a dedicated fan base who will ride behind their player no matter what. No statistic, accolade, or opinion can change one's feelings once they've made their decision on their GOAT. You see this with fans across the world debating maybe the two most infamous GOAT conversations with Ronaldo versus Messi and Jordan versus LeBron. But none of these are quite like the potential GOAT debate occurring in the NFL as we speak. Tom Brady is unanimously regarded as the greatest football player of all time. And this is why I say this is different than any other GOAT debate out there. Because Brady is miles, and I mean miles ahead of everyone else. A 23-year career that recorded 7 rings along the way and also has essentially every single passing record you could think of. For a player to be able to match or come close to the type of success Brady had in his career is essentially impossible. The odds we see a player have that type of longevity is not likely. It would take a player to be amazing the moment he's drafted to live up to any type of historic status Brady has earned. We're talking about someone who would have to win multiple MVPs, multiple rings, and be on a legendary pace before the age of 30 to even have any real hope of catching Brady. This type of expectation on any player is just simply too much. Unless, of course, your name is Patrick Mahomes, a man who undoubtedly was born to play the sport of football. Imagine you take the skill and improvisation of Aaron Rodgers, the arm strength of Josh Allen, and the clutch gene of Joe Montana. When you combine all of these different elite traits from all-time quarterbacks, you are then left with Patrick Mahomes, the golden child, a magician with the football in his hands. Needless to say, Patrick Mahomes is doing things we have never seen on a football field. And it seems NFL fans are forgetting what we're actually witnessing. Following this past year's Super Bowl, it felt that the conversations that were happening weren't even about the champions, but instead about how Patrick Mahomes will never catch Tom Brady's legacy, and the GOAT conversation is essentially over. And I believe these conversations have simply gone too far, but not in the way you may be thinking. In Brady's first 8 years, he took over the starting job after being a backup his rookie season, won 3 Super Bowls, and won an MVP where he threw 50 touchdowns. And Mahomes, in his first 8 years, took over the starting job after being a backup in his rookie season, won 3 Super Bowls, and won an MVP where he threw 50 touchdowns. When you look at it like this, it makes sense with the amount of comparisons these two draw to each other. Except, this doesn't tell the whole story. Because with the information I just stated, you'd think these two basically had identical starts to their career. But that just simply couldn't be more further from the truth. In their first 8 seasons, they also happened to both play the exact same amount of games, at 112. And here's the comparison between these two in those games. Patrick Mahomes has a higher completion percentage, more passing yards, more touchdowns, a higher passer rating, and more MVPs, reaching a peak for a quarterback that we have literally never seen before. Although regular season success is not what makes this conversation interesting, it's what Mahomes does on the big stage. Patrick Mahomes will have a legit argument as being the greatest playoff performer of all time when it's all said and done. And I don't just mean the NFL, because I think that's a given. I truly believe Mahomes has a shot to be regarded as the greatest playoff performer in any sport. Now I know that sounds hyperbolic, but let me explain. EPA per play, or expected points added per play, is a football metric that quantifies how much a play changes the likelihood of scoring by comparing the team's expected points before and after the play. It essentially assigns a point value to each individual play, helping analyze the impact of each snap on the drive's overall scoring potential. To simplify it, a positive EPA is really good and a negative EPA is not so much. To have over a 0.5 EPA per play is elite territory. Some all-time great quarterbacks have never had a playoff game with over a 0.5 EPA per play. And over the past 25 years, the NFL has seen many elite quarterbacks step up their game in the postseason. Players who were widely regarded as some of the best players in the world yet they would take their game to a whole new level come playoff time. With a few of these names, including Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Josh Allen. Now, when you combine all of these quarterbacks' playoff games with over a .5 EPA per play, it equals to 11. Brady, Allen, and Manning with 3 each, and Brees and Rodgers each with only 1. Now, why am I showing you these numbers, you may ask? In Patrick Mahomes' career, he has played 21 playoff games, and in those games, he has had 7 games with over a .5 EPA per play. 7, 4 less than 5 of the best quarterbacks the game has ever seen. A playoff riser that makes all-time great quarterbacks look mediocre. And he's been doing this every game since he stepped on the field. After Mahomes took over as a starter in 2018, the Chiefs have made the playoffs every single year, being the number 1 seed for half of those years in 2018, 2020, 2022, and 2024. That information alone is unreal considering how talented the league is today. But that's not all. Patrick Mahomes has also played in 9 wildcard and divisional games. His record in these games? Undefeated. Never lost. In his 7 years as a starter, he has reached the AFC Championship every single year, while also making the Super Bowl 5 of those years. I mean, folks, what I'm spewing out my mouth right now doesn't even seem real. His overall record in the playoffs is 17-4. 53 total touchdowns, over 6,000 yards, while having a 105 passer rating. What is occurring is not in any shape or form normal. To come out the gate doing what he's doing is genuinely unbelievable. After Mahomes took over as a starter in his sophomore year, let's just say he hasn't looked back. He has the most passing touchdowns by a quarterback through their first 15 starts, and the most through a quarterback's first 30 starts, and the first 45, and the first 60, and 75, and 90. You get the gist. And as long as Mahomes keeps playing, I would bet a lot of money that this trend continues. The trajectory that Pat is currently on would shatter any type of record basically any quarterback has set in NFL history, including the great Tom Brady. So what is my point with all this? I mean, with how much praise I've gave Mahomes over Brady this video, you would probably assume I'm talking you into believing Patrick Mahomes will retire as the greatest quarterback of all time. Except that's not at all what I'm getting at. See, the narrative around Mahomes has shifted to a spot that happens to all great athletes once you hit a certain threshold, and that is not appreciating what we are watching in real time. This even happened to Brady himself. When the Patriots were at a point where they were knocking out Super Bowl after Super Bowl and were forming one of the greatest dynasties in all of sports, the NFL world that wasn't Patriot fans despised them, waiting to see them fall from their glory. And I've simply never understood this. One of the biggest reasons I don't get it is it becomes a big contradiction in the end. When a quarterback fails over and over to win in the playoffs, let alone even make the playoffs, it comes with scrutiny. No matter what other factors may be taking place, a majority of the blame is placed on the quarterback. Yet when a quarterback does the complete opposite and is dominating and winning 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, it is somehow still met with hate. And I want to reiterate this. We will never, and I mean never, see a player like Patrick Mahomes again. The history of the Kansas City Chiefs before Mahomes arrived was very average at best. They had 1 playoff win in the past 24 years, lost 10 of their last 11 playoff games, had been to 1 conference championship in the previous 48 years, and had an overall franchise playoff record of 9-18. And as far as quarterback play, the Chiefs had never had a player win MVP, and the most passing touchdowns in a season by a Chiefs quarterback was 30 by Len Dawson in 1964. And in the 7 years of Mahomes being a starter, he threw for 50 touchdowns in essentially his rookie season and won an MVP. He won a playoff game every year, won multiple playoff games in 6 straight years, an NFL record, been to 7 straight conference championships, hosting 5 in a row, an NFL record, been to 5 Super Bowls in 6 years, also an NFL record, and won 16 playoff games in 6 years, again, an NFL record. He not only altered an NFL franchise, but he changed the trajectory of the entire NFL. Ever since Mahomes entered the NFL, it has never been the same. and it's because of his play style. The type of quarterback that NFL teams are targeting completely changed once the Mahomes era started. Before Mahomes, there were countless improviser and dual threat type quarterbacks, but that's become the new norm in the NFL. Here are the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL in 2010, 8 years before Mahomes became a starter, a league dominated by pocket passing quarterbacks. If you didn't have a quarterback that was traditional and could deliver passes on time while having great pocket movement, then you weren't going to be very successful. Although fast forward to the top 10 quarterbacks in 2025, and it's a completely different story, with pocket passers nearly becoming extinct and the improviser and dual threat archetypes taking over. That is the Patrick Mahomes effect, ladies and gentlemen. A player with essentially zero holes in his game. He can make every throw in the book and do so while being off his back foot or completely falling down. In my opinion, Patrick Mahomes is already the second greatest quarterback of all time, and I do think putting him in the GOAT conversations are pretty ridiculous at this point because it takes away just how great Mahomes already is. I just hope fans don't take for granted what we're watching like a lot of people did when watching Brady. I hope everyone who watched this video learned something and also enjoyed. I'm out. Peace.